80% of the entire roster pool is sitting on the free agent market. It is like the whole league synchronized their watches to walk out at once. Every single player inked a one-year contract, timing it perfectly to crash into this new labor deal. Effectively, team rosters are ghost towns right now. We are talking about a league where only 20% of the workforce is actually under contract. Folks, drop everything. I need you to tune in because the details that just leaked on national TV are absolute madness. We have been tracking this collective bargaining train wreck in the WNBA for weeks now. We have discussed the avarice, the envy, and the internal battles. But ESPN's Ramona Shelburne just went on Rich Eisen's show and detonated a truth bomb about the chaos behind the curtain. Forget calling this a labor dispute. What we are witnessing is a full-blown hostage crisis. 80% of the WNBA workforce is currently out of a job. I'm going to say that again, just so the absurdity sinks in. 4 out of every 5 professional women's basketball players have no team to call home. This was a calculated move. They engineered a mass contract expiration to corner the owners, creating a nightmare where the league physically lacks the bodies to play a match. This is a fabricated emergency, and it is shoving the entire sport dangerously close to the cliff's edge. If you cringed at the Players Association posting poetry for Valentine's Day, just wait until you hear about the logistical hellscape they have purposely built. Ramona Shelburne put the cards on the table. The union explicitly instructed members to sign 12-month deals last year. The directive was to gamble on themselves. The pitch was simple. When that Caitlin Clark revenue hits, we all cash out together in one massive wave. But here is the fatal flaw in a game of financial chicken. Eventually, someone has to turn the wheel. Right now, no one is budging. We have 2 fresh expansion franchises in Toronto and Portland. Guess how many athletes they have? 0. They should be holding an expansion draft, a victory lap for the sport's growth, but it is impossible because there is no labor agreement in place. You cannot draft talent into an economic void. You cannot sign free agents when the salary cap is a giant question mark. The WNBA's entire framework is frozen solid because a union is holding the line for a payday that exists only in their imagination. And this leads us to the most cringeworthy revelation of the whole segment. Shelburne dropped the fact that the WNBA just pushed out their regular season calendar. You probably saw that and thought, awesome. Looks like we have a season. You see the Fever facing the Liberty on April 25th and feel relief. Do not fall for the smoke and mirrors. That schedule release was not progress. It was a desperate cry for help. Shelburne labeled it a flinch by the league. And the reason behind that flinch? It is utterly tragic. We are nearing the edge here, Rich. It really caught my eye that the league dropped a schedule, because the intel I was getting suggested the real pressure point was simply securing building dates. You know the drill. If you do not lock down those nights on the calendar, the venue managers hand them over to a touring band. They lease the space to a traveling circus, or literally anyone else willing to write a check for the night. Stadiums cannot afford to sit empty. If you want those slots, you have to claim them now. So, the league forged ahead, publishing a schedule without even knowing who will be wearing the jerseys. To me, that screamed weakness. That was them blinking first. Did that sink in? The WNBA had to publish a phantom schedule for rosterless teams just to stop the circus from stealing their home courts. I am not spinning a yarn here. This is the supposed top-tier women's league on the planet. The organization featuring stars like Caitlin Clark, Aja Wilson, and Sabrina Ionescu is fighting for floor time against clowns and monster trucks. And simply because the union is digging in its heels, because Brianna Stewart and Nanika Ogwumike are chasing 30% of revenue from a business that has not seen a profit in 30 years, owners had to panic release a calendar just to keep the lights on. This is incompetence raised to an art form. The union demands NBA-level treatment, private jets, max deals, but you do not see LeBron James getting bumped for the Ringling Brothers. This is the result when your demands completely detach from your economic reality. Players are asking for billion-dollar prestige while running a lemonade stand that is fighting for survival. Which drags us to the massive elephant standing in the corner. The only factor that truly counts here, Rich Eisen, a broadcasting legend who has witnessed every strike and lockout in sports history, sliced through the nonsense. He pinpointed the singular reason anyone is even watching this drama unfold. Not to be blunt, but we have a golden goose here that keeps increasing in value, along with the star power. With Juju Watkins returning in peak condition, we have reached the moment where the rubber finally meets the road. Rich Eisen hit the bullseye regarding the league's cash cow, Caitlin Clark. He understands the union is juggling dynamite while holding their most precious gem. Just as their prize asset skyrockets in value, the athletes seem determined to choke the life out of it. Does anyone truly grasp how quickly this wave of success could crash? Clark dragged millions of fresh eyes to the screen, packed every arena, and secured a monster TV contract. Yet those newcomers hold no allegiance to the league itself. Their devotion belongs exclusively to the superstar. If the union triggers a shutdown, and May arrives without Clark sinking deep shots on air, that audience will vanish to the NBA playoffs. They will head outdoors or pick up a new hobby, and winning back the average American viewer is nearly impossible once they drift away. The sheer arrogance displayed by the union bosses is mind-blowing. They suffer from the delusion that viewers will hold their breath, waiting patiently by the screen while millionaires squabble over percentages in a boardroom. That is simply not how show business operates. Cultural relevance has a tiny shelf life, and right now, the league is blazing hot. But lock the doors to the shop, and that product turns ice cold in an instant. Still, 10-year veterans who never generated a cent of profit are lecturing the press, claiming they built this empire. Consumed by envy and avarice, they are leveraging an 80% free agency stunt to hold Clark's second year for ransom. We need to check the calendar, because time is evaporating faster than anyone cares to admit. Ramona Shelburne noted that the crunch time isn't now, it is March, and we are staring right down the barrel of next month. Within weeks, the league must settle the cap and run an expansion draft for 2 whole metropolitan areas, finalize deals for 80% of the roster, conduct the college selection, and open camps. That is months of administrative labor squeezed into days. Executing that smoothly is now a physical impossibility. Even if ink hits paper tomorrow, the resulting bedlam in the open market will be unlike anything we have ever seen. Imagine 100 athletes fighting for a handful of spots, all within the same 24-hour cycle. General managers will be frantic, trying to build unity with strangers they met only a day before practice began. The on-court product will tank in May because the union played hardball in February. So, who is directing this circus? Shelburne points to Nika Ogwumike, Brianna Stewart, and Nafisa Collier as the captains navigating this ship. We are talking about rich, established icons with foreign income and massive sponsorship agreements. With the unrivaled league padding their wallets, they can easily skip a paycheck or sit out for 30 days. But what about the rookie fighting for a jersey? Or the fringe player whose livelihood depends on that minimum wage? The brass at the top is completely out of touch with the economic survival of their everyday members. They are gambling like high rollers using chips that do not belong to them. Adam Silver spots the danger, hence his 11th hour caution. He sees these leaders steering the bus straight off a cliff. He understands that without a deal in March, the cash cow is dead meat. Media giants like Disney, Amazon, and NBC won't shell out billions for a league that cannot promise its workers will show up. Should a lockout occur, those contracts allow the networks to slash payments or walk away completely. The athletes believe they are battling for a larger slice, unaware they are about to smash the entire cake on the floor. This whole fiasco is a masterclass in destroying a golden opportunity. Fate handed the league a winning lottery ticket named Caitlin Clark, and their only job was to redeem it. The task was simple: sign a fair deal, lock in the huge raises on the table, and play ball. But pride intervened. The old guard could not bear thriving in an economy built by a first-year player. Desperate to prove they were in charge, they told 80% of the league to enter free agency. They besieged the stadiums and turned the organization into a national laughingstock. Fans need to brace for the grim reality that the 2026 season may be postponed or scrapped entirely. The language from the locker room isn't softening, it is solidifying, and the owners backed by Silver will not bow to demands that would bankrupt their teams. We are witnessing a collision between an unyielding wave of greed and the bedrock of financial truth. If this season goes up in smoke, do not forget who actually struck the spark. It wasn't Caitlin Clark. It wasn't the audience. Look at the union leaders who felt they were larger than the sport. Veterans prioritizing their own egos over the game's lifeblood. The jackpot is sitting right on the table, just waiting for someone to cash it in. But the association is holding a knife to the league's jugular. The stare down is over. Seats are reserved. The dates are a sham. Locker rooms are barren. This is the 11th hour of the WNBA, and the only promise left is absolute, inevitable wreckage.